Hi, okay, so welcome to Barcelona in Spain. I think one of the things that's quite interesting about Spain is they tend to eat quite late, and I think this is also something that business travellers, definitely from the ones that have spoken to me, struggle with a little bit. And I think the whole late night eating thing, it's something that, like I say, people just sometimes cannot avoid. So I think business travellers, when they're away on a business trip, you tend to have client dinners quite late. It can tend to go on for a little while. I think just normal business people coming back from work in the evening struggle with a similar sort of thing. And when you look at sort of patterns, people tend to skip breakfast or eat a very light breakfast. They tend to eat a little bit more for lunch, but then by the end of the day they're really hungry. So obviously you've got a compound effect there where you go out in the evening and you're super hungry and you tend to overeat. And I think it tends to cause a couple of different problems, one of which is weight gain. A lot of business travellers struggle with the fact that they just find that they're piling on weight all the time. And the other issue is really to do with things like heartburn, indigestion, and all the other issues that can lead to. People eating quite late, then going to bed on a very heavy stomach, maybe obviously combining that with quite a few drinks. So like I say, a lot of the time people cannot avoid that. So what can you do? What are the better solutions? What are the better things to try and eat? I think when you look at what to avoid, try and avoid the big carb-based foods. Things like sandwiches aren't good things to have at night. Big plates of pasta, rice, things like Chinese foods with a lot of saturated fats and fried foods, etc. They're all things that are quite difficult to digest. They're things that, especially with the sort of pastas and the carbs, they're going to spike insulin levels and spike blood sugar levels. And in the evening, if you spike blood sugar levels, you're then inevitably going to have a crash. And you might have your client dinner, you might eat a lot, your blood sugar level drops just before you go into bed. You want to reach into the mini bar for your Pringles and all the other things that you shouldn't really eat. So avoiding these sort of heavy foods late at night will definitely help to sort of stop the body piling on pounds. Again, in the evening, your body has two choices with what to do with food. It either stores it as glycogen or it stores it as fat. And if you're not burning stuff off, then it's got no real option but to store it as fat. So the better choices would be, you could think of a couple of different strategies. Maybe have some sort of lighter meal later on in the afternoon, so you're not quite so hungry when you go out in the evening. Drink water. It sounds like a really sort of simple thing to do, but a lot of time the body mistakes thirst for hunger or hunger for thirst. And if we're not hydrating properly, if we're not drinking enough water, you might think that you're hungry, whereas in reality your body's thirsty. So try and drink water just periodically throughout the afternoon. Have, like say, some sort of healthier snack towards the end of the afternoon if you know you're not going to be eating till later at night. And then, like I say, by the time you do then go to eat, you won't be quite so starving. And the other option is just looking at what you eat. So things like having if I look at what I try and put on my plate, I think first of the protein source. And if you've got a good source of protein, so say for example in the evening, salmon. Salmon's for me a great food because number one, it's a great quality protein source. It contains a lot of essential fatty acids, omega-3s, which are very good at controlling inflammation in the body. And the other thing it has, it's one of the most abundant natural sources food-wise of vitamin D, which is another vitamin people probably tend to be lacking quite a lot of. So you've got quite a powerhouse sort of protein sort of source in the evening that you could have there. Other fish are also good. The wild fish are much better than the farm reared fish, but again, you're not necessarily going to know that in a restaurant. Add to that a lot of vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, peas, beans. These are things that are very high in natural fibre, and they're going to keep you a bit fuller for longer. They're not going to create this spike in blood sugar levels. If you're looking for a carb source, things like sweet potatoes are very good. So they contain, again, a lot of nutrients, beta-carotene, fibre, but they're not going to spike the blood sugar levels super high like the rices or the normal potatoes. So again, it's another better choice. I think the other thing that people tend to get into the habit of is eating desserts with the evening meal. And again, desserts are something I don't really have. So for me, I find it very easy to avoid them. If you're going to have a dessert, if you really want a dessert, if you look at the healthier options, try and go for a bowl of berries or something like that. The berries contain, yes, they contain natural sugar, but it's a much better sugar than the sort of sugar you'd normally have with the desserts like chocolate-based or tiramisus or whatever else you might be eating. So try and go for the berries. If you want to add something to that, Greek yogurt's a good addition. Again, it's a protein-based sort of product. You're not having the refined sugars that you would have in some of the other things. If you want to have ice cream, have a scoop of ice cream, but with the berries. Just make sure the berries are the bigger part of that dessert. If you want to have a normal dessert, have a normal dessert. It's your choice, but that would be a healthier option. If you look at sort of eating late at night, one thing that has been proven to work quite well with recovery work, increasing metabolism, stopping hunger pangs, is things like a protein shake sort of in the evening, maybe 45 minutes to an hour before you go to bed. That's actually been proven to be quite successful in improving recovery and stopping some of these issues from happening. So looking at the evening meals, there's quite a lot to take in there, but it depends how much in general you're struggling with these sort of things. But these are some of the better options, some of the ways to maybe avoid some of the issues you're struggling with. I haven't really mentioned much about the drink side of things, and I'm going to look at the drinks more in Monaco, because drinking and Monaco tend to go more hand in hand. So we're going to have a little bit more of a look at the drinking side over there. But leave your comments. Hopefully that's given you something to think about for the evening meals, and I will see you from Monaco.